evening, everyone. My name's Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I'm reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading's Miami office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Thursday, January 23rd, 2014, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary video brought to you by WallStreetTrading.com. Want to go ahead and just jump right here into the video. I want to start by seeing how the markets closed today. We had the Dow close down 176 points, the Nasdaq closed down 24, and the S&P 500 closed down 16 and a half. The weakest index across the board was the Dow and the Russell 2000, then the S&P 500, then the Nasdaq. As we did have some, some stocks in the tech sector that were doing pretty well. Apple up close to 1%, EMC up 0.5%. Well, that's nothing, but I mean, everything across the board got hit. So anything that was able to stay green today it shows a little bit of relative strength, we like to call it. So NTAP up 1%, EMC up, a little over 0.5%. NTAP up close to 1%, 0.88% that is. IBM was able to stay positive today. Oracle, Microsoft, AT&T, Verizon, they had some positive action there. But aside from that, everything else in the tech space was pretty weak. Same thing for the services space. Basic material stocks were weak today. Some of the gold miners were able to hang in there. Some of the coal stocks showed some early morning strength, but they kind of rolled over again. Consumer goods weak, healthcare weak, financials were definitely weak as that sector had a lot of profit taking going on, some liquidation of positions there, take that profit off the table for those traders and managers that have been long, making that easy money in that sector. That has been one of the best performing sectors. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the daily chart of the S&P 500 via the Spiders ETF. The SPY closed down $1.51, 0.82%. However, you can see we got a nice little bounce off of the lows, off that 182 level, which is support. Again, we talked about this yesterday. We have a range right here, and then we have a range on top of that prior range. It's like a little stair step higher. So we back tested the 182 area back on Monday. That's where we got the big bounce. And then we back tested that level again today, and it held, and buyers were willing to buy that dip down there. So we bounced off that 182 level. So therefore, going forward, you can see how the 182 is definitely the level we want to watch. If we break below 182 and start holding below that level, we can start trading down towards 180 and back down towards this little pivot right here that we had before we took off to the top side. We still have the last week's Monday. Last week that Monday where we put in that low. Okay, and it formed it broke this pivot right there, moved down. So we had a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low. However, the markets got bought right back up. So you can see the action in this area is getting a little bit volatile, a little bit shaky. And it's good for intraday traders, a little bit harder for day traders to manage in this environment now with this action. But as long as everything stays the same and they keep on buying the dips, I would not be surprised if we go back up here towards the highs. And all we're doing right now is just making this big choppy range during this earnings season, which a lot of people are paying attention to the top line. We want to see them beat on those top line, announcements there. The bottom lines can always be fudged around, but that top line, that revenue, we want to, this quarter, they're definitely looking for these companies to do pretty well on that top line there. So we'll see how it plays out. Still a lot of companies that will be reporting here shortly. So Spiders, interesting action here. The dip buyers were able to come in today, and you can see we held right near this little key trend line I have here from the big channel, but the upward 50% trend line of that big channel you can see held, which matched up with this prior back test. So taking a look at the ES on the big screen, ES action. We had this little downward bull flag that was trying to form right here. Actually tried to break out like last week. Wednesday we were holding above it, which I noted to you guys yesterday. However, today we closed below it. So if we start holding below this key trend line or below this key 1833 area, expect us to start trading down. That's something I'm looking for as well. On the ES, that back test area is right here around the 1810 level from that little range that we had here before. And then you had a little shakeout right here, of course. So we came right towards that level and they bought us up today. So we'll see how it plays out. Again, keep an eye on this 1830, 1833 area. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the triple Q, the Nasdaq 100, down 30 cents today. It was able to bounce off the lows. Doji yesterday, a little funky looking candlestick today. So this action's getting a little bit crazy here in the Nasdaq, a little volatile. Still in this nice little upward channel above these moving average. Wouldn't be too concerned. As long as we can hold, I would say, above this 8750 area, I would say that everything's still pretty much contained. Wouldn't be too worried about the Nasdaq. If anything, keep an eye on the Dow Jones and the Russell as they have been showing a little bit of relative weakness intraday, relative weakness intraday. Excuse me. So let's go and take a look at the IWM. Then we'll take a look at a couple stocks here. IWM trying to break back inside the range. Definitely want to see it hold above key level you want to watch here. You definitely want to see it hold above. I just adjusted that real quick, but you definitely want to see it hold above this 115.67. You can see that was the range right here. So it held the back test on Monday of this week, and it held it again today. So as long as the IWM could hold above this 115.67 area, then we got to expect it's probably going to try to consolidate and go back up towards these highs. It's holding this nice little upward channel, long-term channel on the daily time frame right here. All right, what else? All right, so let's go and talk about some stocks now. Apple. All right, Apple was down. Apple was up $4.67 today. I believe Carl Icahn came out today and said he was buying some more Apple. Whatever the case is, they have earnings next Monday, so that's going to be a stock to watch. Amazon, another big name that we have to take a look at, was down $4.67 today. Look for it to come back down, possibly down towards the 390 area to retest this little consolidation like it did last week and the week before that, if it does break down below today's lows. Before I take a look at some more stocks, I want to cover the dollar. All right, dollar got smoked today. Euro got a nice little bounce today. Euro's bullish, looks to go higher. All right, and of course, gold. All right, gold got a nice little bounce today. Excuse me. Here's the chart. Sorry about that. Gold up 2%. All right. Remember, gold's trying to make its way back inside this key long-term channel that we've been tracking here. And you can see now it has some pent-up momentum going into this little downward trend line. We're going to be looking for gold, put a higher pivot low in today. We're going to be looking for gold to try to get a breakout here above this 1260 level. You can see it closed at 1263 today. You can see you also have some decent volume down there. So gold's trying to break back inside that long-term channel on the daily. You can see that we had right here that broke down, go down more, inverted cup and handle there that caused a breakdown to the low 1179. Head and shoulders pattern that tried a little complex head and shoulders pattern that was trying to break down here from the little breakdown. You can see it really didn't get far at all before the bid started coming in, and now we've been making these higher pivot highs and higher pivot lows here. This little downdraft. If you take a look at silver, on the silver futures chart, we have the same thing here. The nice little downward channel. Alright, from right here, let me zoom in a bit here, sorry about that. And it's a nice little downward channel that we've been tracking here. And you can see it's trading above that. But again, for silver to really get some momentum, it will need a break above this 21 area, really catch some, at least some more conviction buyers. So we'll see how that whole commodity space plays out. And then last, crude oil up 65 cents today, getting another follow-through day from yesterday's bullish action, which was, of course, started on Tuesday, really. All right, so back to the stocks. Apple, we looked at that chart. You had AT&T was able to close bullish today. They have earnings out on Monday or Tuesday, it looks like. Then you had Verizon, nice little bounce up today after a gap down from the earnings, catching a little bid down here. Nothing too crazy. But overall, market's a little bit shaky. Goldman Sachs, fell back in the channel. We talked about the Goldman Sachs to watch because this could be a failed breakout above the top of this little bullish channel. All right, so it hit a high of 181, and now it's back below that channel, and it's just caught some support on top of our little demand zone from this accumulation that was going on here before we broke out. As long as Goldman Sachs could hold this 170 area, it could be a good buy right here. We'll have to wait and see. It's probably going to chop around this little area for a couple days. If this market continues to stay volatile, so you have to gauge it. Morgan Stanley was very weak today as well, down 2.5%. Morgan Stanley coming back underneath the little breakout trend line, however, holding that 50% trend line from the big channel. So we'll see how that plays out. You had Citigroup down 2.25% today, breaking back below the 53.30 breakout level, coming right back into this little support down here around 50.25 in that moving average. We'll see how that plays out. And then you have Bank of America pulling back today as well. Howard is still hanging in there, looking pretty decent still. Just may pull back a little bit. Let's see here. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup. And in general, the whole financial sector, got hit. Tesla was able to show some relative strength today. Up 1.65%, up close to $3. Definitely looking like it's making its way back up towards the 194.50 area, guys. And there's some action right there. Let's see. Netflix, boom. Take a look at Netflix, making new all-time highs after the earnings report. Was able to trade to a high of 395.63 and now pulling back. So we'll see how that plays out. Um, me personally, I think it's going to chop around a little bit, but trades that you can keep tabs on it. Let's see. Again, NTAP showed relative strength today, so you definitely want to make sure you look at the names that were not down today, especially on a day like today. You can see NTAP had buyers in there and looks pretty good. Let's see. Let's take a look at the 60-minute chart real quick. Show extended session. Take that off. 60-minute chart looks pretty good. Up move, sideways action, holding the support down here at 54.60. Keep it on Netflix for tomorrow, folks. Looks interesting, especially how the 5-minute moved up there into the close. All right. See Netflix. Take a look at some of these big names. See how they held up. Priceline was still able to close green today slightly. Google, held up well today, even though it had a small range there. You can see still above the moving average. And let's see what else is going on here. The gold miners, some action there. Newmont Mining. All right, continuing this little short-term uptrend it has right there. GG took off a little bit today as well, up 4%, looking pretty nice. Again, ever since the GDX was able to put in that little higher pivot low, this little series of higher pivot highs and higher pivot lows, it's been looking good. We've been on top of it. Some of the traders in the chat room have been trading them intraday. However, some of the guys don't like to trade the commodities, but I have one guy that he's all over these mining stocks. He does pretty well on them, on a consistent basis. So keep an eye on those names there. A little bit of pullback in the natural resource space. Some of those stocks that were up yesterday, the energy stocks, RRC, got smacked right back down. Made a new high. CLG, you can see that was strong, pulled off the highs yesterday, gapped up today, rallied up, was not able to make any action there. Exxon Mobil, gap down, little hammer formation there, right on top of support. This will be good for tomorrow, guys. Make sure you put this one on your radar. You can see prior resistance here, it came back to support. I like the setup if it triggers. Take a look at the 60-minute chart real quick. Possible little V shape there. So keep an eye on Exxon Mobil tomorrow. We'll be tracking that for sure. I'm actually going to make sure I put a alert on it right now here. But aside from that, guys, hope you guys had a great day. We had a good call out today in the chat room. Over here in the chat room, we were trading the eBay action, and we also traded some CNX, which I'm going to go ahead and talk about that because CNX popped up on the open. Was not able to hold its gains, but it did give us a nice little trade through the 39 quarter level, 39 level. So have a great day, folks. I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow in our chat room, mywallstreettv.com. If you would like to get access to our chat room or trade with our proprietary trading firm, contact us via the button on the upper right hand side of the home page, the contact us button. Have a great day, folks. Cheers.